Okay, just give me just a little bit, and we're gonna give this a shot. I have no idea how this is gonna go. I've been having issues with streaming lately. Um... I don't know if it's an internet thing, or if it's a thing going towards Twitch or YouTube. So I'm gonna try just stream. I usually do go through Restream. So I'm gonna try doing a regular stream on YouTube today and kind of see how things go from there. We are continuing the Golden Idol. I'm enjoying this game. I'm really enjoying this game. So we're gonna go ahead and get involved in this one. We were trying to figure out different pieces. This is the actual murder scene from before. I could reset the case. Everybody touch a thing and nobody move. I'll send for a doctor right away. Okay. Now, if we didn't remember Edmund Clousley, right, based on the handkerchief he currently has on his possession, but we also have seen him before in a previous case. I believe this is also Peter Battage or Baddeley. So we are seeing some reoccurring characters. So we can just kind of fill in for those two because we know who they are. Okay. Now, we should also fill in for him because that would be little Pip. All right. So let's keep going through. She does seem rather unwell. It's extremely unsettling. You seem really too chill for this. Now, the lady is not breathing and her face is blotched. I believe we've also seen her before. I think she's was a character we saw in the will reading. I think that was like the third case of the game. You killed my aunt, you devil! I shall execute you on the spot. Cards, 2 pounds, and a fork. Oh my lord, this has nothing to do with me. Note to self: if you get frustrated when working, remember the tale about a rich lord who married his donkey, and you will feel better. As 1 shilling. Ensure that the beautiful lady sits next to me during dinner, and I will assume that because he has a shilling, he made that happen. So at some point, when we figure out where everyone's sitting, we know that Peter Baddeley and this girl right here sat close to each other. Okay, do we have any other clues we can look at? I don't really know what I'm looking for. Okay, so this is interesting. This is locked by a blue key. We have a sealed bottle labeled opium. 2 sealed bottles of cloudy liquid labeled peptic tonic. Due to the sensitivity to your stomach, I would advise from alcohol for the next month. Also consider a glass of peptic tonic before eating to avoid upsetting your digestive system. Okay. This ultimately comes down to whose house it is, because then we can kind of take a note of who putting alcohol, which we can at least get. Okay, that's wine, bourbon. What's the yellow drink? Yellow liquid. I don't know. Partially empty glass of clear liquid. Okay. Because I don't know what the yellow liquid is, and we have to find that out, we have 2 options that could potentially be non-alcoholic. However, assume this might be water. So, and it is at the head of the table, which could mean that this is the seat of whoever. Dear Edmund, this will not continue since my return and moved. Wait, this cannot continue. Since my return and moved to Sebastian, I need your help, my dear brother. Rose Kubert. Okay, so I'm losing some guys. Okay, if I keep looking over my OBS, I think I might seriously just have an internet issue. Because it is weird how it just keeps dropping like that. Okay. Dear Edmund, I like your idea. Let's send him to the colonies where his violent nature will make him feel at home. I hear you're having a dinner party with Lady Mary and her well-to-do father, Lothard. If Peter and I were to join you, we could beguile him tales of adventure in the colonies so we could ship him away. Sincerely, Rose Kubert. This is Baker, starting date August 1st, position housemaid, yearly wage £9. Okay. So, interesting. I believe, like I said, she should be Rose Kubert. Pretty sure. And, that the house... This house is owned by Edmund. Okay, what else do we have? We have... Remember to take the 4th one from every row. What the fuck does that mean? Video, Kathu, Star Child. Got candles, 2 shillings, an ink pot. Now we have this string thing here. 4 shillings and a penny. We have a knife. I will not change the rules. Staff members who have worked here the longest get the bottom room. Do not bother me with such nonsense again. Mademoiselle, the Laceless Count, the besmirched lover of Lusitania. Okay, so we know that these rooms are held by, like, seniority, right? That's what he just said. I didn't even notice. What is this? We have 2 keys. Interesting. Alright, so what do we got here? We have Ash Blair, finest tobacco, set of picklocks, a pistol, a dagger. David, clean up the barn until Wednesday. I have planned to continue experimenting with the artifact, EC. Now again, Ash, run to the city to grab me some Ash Blair. Pay you back, David. Okay. So we know this has to be David's room. He has a key. He's got a couple of shillings, it looks like. Pennies, a fancy handkerchief, and a pocket watch. Amber liquid. Monkey Man versus the Striped Dark Hand. Monkey Man 2, the Tooth for Tooth. Stack of candles. Dear Diary, this has been an ordinary day, mostly spent in preparation for tomorrow's dinner event. I do believe time has come for me to ask for a raise in salary after all these years I have loyally worked here. It is a difficult conversation to be had, but I will strengthen my will to talk to Master about it tomorrow. Ortis, the Wise Slave, fables about rulers that make you think. I think this is safe to say that this is probably that guy's room up here. Because he said, remember the story about, the rich lord who married his donkey? So that's probably his room, if we can kind of figure out his name. Of course I will give you some candles for your room, Lucia. I assume you are itching to continue reading that scandalous novel. Okay. Dear Ada, I will have to use this letter to share good news. There is no substance to the claims that your late husband used his position to squander church money. The judges decided to remove all accusations and will be no longer a target of baseless gossip. I can truly and sincerely hope that you will provide some comfort in these dark times when ignorance and impudence go hand in hand. May our Lord steward over our poor souls. Thank you, dear. No, I threw it out. I do not read such dirty literature anymore. I do hope our master's guests are satisfied and that Brian served everything as instructed. Dinner party will take place on April 8th. Everything should be ready before noon. Please prepare roasted boar. Young Miss Richards does not appear to enjoy meat, therefore some alternative side dish. Prepare some alternative side dishes. Okay. So that's wine and brandy. So the amber liquid's brandy. Lemons, 3 loaves of bread. Pair of opaque bottles labeled water. Cut vegetables and a big piece of meat. So there's a lot here. And I'm still missing a lot of clues. Okay. I think there's a couple things we can make assumptions about that are safe. Before I do that, there's a couple more things I need to... Oh, I didn't hit this either. Oh, there's a statue. Okay. Well, well, Edmund, it would seem you're pretty pleased after the old boy passed away and a spot freed up for you in the House of Lords. Take care of yourselves with whom you ally. I have many friends and would deal with you swiftly if you dare cross me. George Bridges. The revolution will come for the likes of you, you crooked bastard. Soon you will pay for the sin against honest common folk with your blood. Edmund Cloudesley. Once more you have failed to answer our requisition. It's our last warning you'll receive. Your transgressions against us demand amends. The only course of action you have is to surrender yourself to our justice. Last chance for repentance, serpent, or we will unleash one of our stewards upon you. Brotherhood of Masks. Dear Uncle, I have heard you're interested in Lady Richards. I think you're too old for her. I shall court her instead. Secondly, please lend me £300. It is no small change to you. It is a small change to you, and I'm desperate in need of it at present. Truly yours, Peter Atlee. Still missing some clues. Okay, so I think there's a couple. Let's kind of fill out what we can. Of course, Lucia. So Lucia's this one over here. So we can go ahead and pop that. I think her name was Ada. Yeah, so we know that. Where is Ada? There we are. Okay, and I. What am I still missing? Okay. So what we need right now is... There's a couple things we can get. We don't need that. I think it's it over here? Nope. Miss Richards. Okay. So I believe it's Mary Richards. And she's related to them. What was his name again? I believe it was Lothar. Right? And we should be able to get his name... Brian. Okay. Still missing some names. David, okay, that's not going to help me. Just making sure I've zoomed over everything and every... Ada, this letter comes from Good News. Just kind of scrolling over everything. Oh, hey. Smith. Two eggs and a pot for tea each breakfast. No heavy food for dinner. You are responsible for Little Clip for doing all his errands. Miss Walker, I am to be woken and dressed at 7 a.m. I expect to receive my daily newspaper by noon. Mr. Walker. Okay. Mrs. Baker, I expect all rooms to be cleared every day, twice on the days I have visitors. NB. David Garon's job requires he may arrive or leave during night. No complaints about this. if we can kind of assume Brian Walker, then it's just a Smith and Baker. Okay. If we assume she's kind of like cooking, right? Or prepping meal prep, and she's cleaning. So Smith might be her name, and then Baker's her. There we go. Hey, worked it out. All right. So what am I still missing? So Edmund cannot drink alcohol. Aang also wants to take peptic tonic, right? So if we look at the table here, we're looking for a peptic tonic right here, and no alcohol. Well, peptic tonic in wine won't be his, so we can go ahead and assume this one is probably Edmund Clousley's section. Then it's a matter of where everyone else sat. We got a note that said that Mary Richards doesn't like to eat meat, which leaves only 2 more spots open. But the other thing I think we can play into effect here is over here is a cigar. And normally, I am not a cigar user, is in one of the male coats. So I think we can safely assume this one would be a male seat. We head over here. Mary Richards. Okay. Now, we also take into effect that our little butler here, as a note said, to ensure the beautiful lady sits next to me during dinner, Peter. He has a shilling, so it's assumed that happened. So we can put Mary Richards here. The only other male dining guest would be Lothard Richards, which would leave Rose Kubert to be here. Oh, wait, I fucked that up. Sorry. Peter Baddeley. There we go. How did I fuck that one up? Okay, that's interesting. So, we have a couple things we can look at here. The idea is going to be that something on Rose's plate was poisoned, right? I think we can safely say it wasn't the roast, it wasn't the salad. Partially empty, partially empty. Okay, so we can kind of assume that it probably wasn't the wine either because everyone else partially drank the wine. The only other thing, partially empty glass of cloudy liquid, which is the peptic tonic, right? And then up here, the full glass of cloudy liquid untouched, meaning this... Okay, so the poison was put in the peptic tonic, but didn't kill Edmund because he didn't drink any of it, unlike Rose, who did. I think we can safely put that together. Okay. So we're looking for something that would have been the blue key, because it's the only way. In order to get to the peptic tonic, you'd have to have an access to the blue key, right? Which leaves us anyone who has the key that looks like this. Which just so happens to be one of the keys in this bag. Awesome. Great. That's nice. Little Pip doesn't have it. Also, okay. So she has the key to here, which means, yeah, again, none of this was poison. let's try to figure... Oh, God. Don't do that, please. Let's try to figure out the rooms here. Right? So, I think we can safely say this is Little Pip's room. And then we could also probably say this is the butler's room. And we said the butler was Brian Walker. Got it. Okay. We have this one. Okay, what is this? NB, David Goran's job. So can we say that this is David Goran? David Goran. Then it's just a matter of figuring out whose room is whose. She had the literature, the saucy literature, right? Okay. Which would mean this is Lucia Smith's, leaving only Anna Baker left. Nice, 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 nice. Now, interestingly enough, this string is attached to this room, so this would obviously be the, you know, she is probably our killer, if we're assuming, because, okay, she has access to these keys. I'm not sure what that key opens. She reels it up, takes the key, opens here, slips the poison in the peptic tonic, right? Remember to take the fourth one from every row. That has to be in reference to her letter, right? Because she does have a letter on her, too. So, dear Ada, I have to... What's... It's going to be the fourth word in every one, right? I have used substance to remove target sincerely dark hand steward. Interesting. Dark hand steward wanted Edmund Clousley dead, and thus Ada Baker poisoned the... We said it was a tonic, hid a necessary key in a bag. At the party, Rose Hubert ingested the poison and died. Hey, got it! That wasn't too bad. I didn't get all the clues, though. I wonder what I missed. Ada Baker received encoded instructions from Darkhand Stewart to poison Edmund Clousley. She used her ability to remove freely throughout the rooms while cleaning and made a copy of the key to the medicine cabinet. She used a syringe to poison the sealed peptic tonic bottle. However, during the party, Rose asked for tonic and drank it first and died from the poison. Chapter 2, The Cursed Inheritance, an explosive event in the forest cabin. A Berkworm workhorse. Alright then. So we have a box of confectionery. Henchman for the hire in Timberbrook region. Billy Cracker, Oakwood Gang, Brawler Robber, Hardy Abe, Brookwood Workhouse Brawler has a cart. Little Billy, Hop Gang Burglar, Intersuit Chimney, Jack Nails, Timberbrook Inn Burglar Picklock. And a picture of various different hats. Okay, so can we assume, because he has a cart, this is Hardy Abe, right? Yeah, it makes sense. Brickham Workhouse Brawler has a cart. So we can assume someone here is by that name. Oh my goodness, there's a lot here. We've already got some interesting stuff going on. Scarecrow in a wooden coffin. Oh, hey, it's this guy. We've seen him before. A man is breathing but appears to have lost consciousness. Key, pistol, 5 shilling. I do not care what means you use to acquire what I need, but remember to be discreet as always. Not that I do not want it to be too decayed. The more recently it has died, the better. Let's see. One of workhouse geezers croaked yesterday. I will arrange for a cart to move the corpse into. You send me directions. And be quick before they bury him. I do not want to dig up that stiff. Okay. So, Edmund was asking for a body? Why? By the gods, what was that? Gentleman robber strikes in Westbrook. The infamous gentleman robber, Walter Keene, with a number of unarmed associates, held up a coach on the southern road leading out to Westbrook. The scoundrel robbed the passengers of all their valuables and kissed a young lady, then left. It's probably the fifth robbery by the infamous gentleman who is, as his custom, appeared wearing an impeccable suit and a new hat in the latest city style. The reward for catching Walter Keene has been increased to £100. Go, coin, go. Interesting. Wrapped piece of confectionery, a loaded pistol, a sword. Okay, so we got a lot going on here. Jesus. What the hell? What the hell's going on here? A club. Set of picklocks, a bone saw, loaded pistol. I finally have a location of my target. Meet us November 10th, Friday in the Timberoak Inn and bring all your tools. We'll get your share as we agreed. A small weight is tied to pull-down lever at the back of the idol. Rotted apple and a green apple. Oh, what are you doing in here? Excuse me? Vacuum. It simply did not work. After I aimed at the sealed vessel and activated the idol, both the air and vessel disappeared. And upon further consideration, it was an obvious mistake. Vacuum 2 attempted with this input, and it was a definitive improvement. It decreased the amount of air, but curiously still did not create a complete vacuum in a sealed vessel. Gold filtering. The target must contain some gold for this to work. Seawater is a suitable target, for example. Get gold by aiming at the target, aim at an empty vessel to retrieve it. However, a great deal of seawater would be required for this to yield any significant amount. I'm so confused. Okay, so this idol can obviously do different things. I just want to actually make sure. Alright, unknown effect 14. If the implications of this are as I surmise, this could be a tremendous discovery. The next step is to progress from fruit to some more advanced organic material. I must ask David to fetch me a dead body for further experiments. This is vitally urgent. I don't think I like that. Spontaneous combustion. You cannot combust the target if you don't have to perform the freezing beforehand. Interesting. The speed at which the heat is increased appears to be influenced by how strongly I press the trigger and how long I performed before it does. Freezing. Observation. Freezing the target rapidly can create curious side effects. For instance, I should be careful when freezing water in a sealed bottle. It exploded and the glass shards flew everywhere. Safety notice. Upon pulling the trigger, if the glyph input is meaningful, the idol will perform an intended action on the target it can see. If the idol eye is red, then it's ready for a J cane input. It will turn blue afterwards. If the eye is blue, you can only perform cane with dot input and it will turn red afterwards. Okay, so what that tells us, we can kind of assume it did a red action. So if we can figure out what the red action does. What do I think? Oh my goodness. Ugh. Okay. Let's start filling out stuff that we can easily figure out. This is Walter Keene, right? Little Jack, Nails, David. I know you are David. Like you're David Garan, right? If we go over here, Brawler Robber has a cart, enters his chimney. Jack Nails. He's a picklock here, right? So you should have your set of lockpicks. You would be Jack Nails. Which would mean, I believe it's Hardy Abe. Because it's got to be the guy who's got a cart, which would be Hardy Abe, yes. Leave the guy left. I still don't have everyone's name, though. That's kind of been... Everyone, you are not to visit any village or city without my permission. At no point may you discuss the location of the cabin. Mr. David Garan, you are in charge of all security and arms. Miss Lucia Smith, you will taste any food you cook before it is presented to me. Little Pip, you are in charge of Black Besta and Golden Doubloon. Wilton must be fed daily. Edmund Fauzi. Okay, so I think we can safely say, because he says go coin go, we can go ahead and say this is Golden Doubloon. Right? Makes sense. And we're looking for a little Pip. Lucia Smith. And David Garan. And then finally, Edmund Lousley. Cool. So now we gotta figure all this shit out. Fun. Okay. I aimed at a sealed vessel, activated idle. Both air and vessel disappeared. On further consideration, it was an obvious mistake. Okay. It decreased. So, is that safe to say... It's like... Okay. Hear me out. We see this symbol right here. It decreased the amount of air, right? Come over here. It's like decrease. It's like removing something in this one, right? It kind of still fits. So like, we could say in this, like, it removes the gold. It like decreases it and then increases it in another location. I think that's what these two alternating symbols mean. Increase and decrease. I think that is... logic, it makes sense. Now, let's continue using this book and we can kind of figure out the rest. If this one is like gold, so we're looking for like the hourglass house symbol. And that probably has something to do with gold. Now, now what did it decrease here? It decreased the amount of air. So is this symbol air? Okay. Okay. Must perform the freezing beforehand. Oh, the heat is what I was missing. Increased appears. The speed at which the heat is increased. Again, that's another kind of reference that this symbol is kind of increasing. Okay, so I think this is heat. And then what is this? Maybe it's... Okay, so maybe that's the heat? Interesting. Okay. So, yeah, okay. So what I was thinking was one of those had to be heat. If we were going with the motif, like, those other symbols were, like, increasing and decreasing, one of these had to be, like... So, I'm guessing it's, like, increase whatever matters in front of me is heat. Decrease whatever matters in front of me heat. Okay. So what happened here? The last spell he cast was increased the air. Interesting. And it was red. And then it turned to blue after the... Okay, I think that makes sense. So he basically increased the air so much that it's what made it explode. Okay. What we can do is Edmund Krausley needed a corpse, right? Walter Keane, because he's the leader, right? Along with accomplices, delivered a coffin. Upon entering, okay, I think we can kind of assume if we can kind of assume based on the weapons here, right? He was not shot, stabbed, or anything like that, so we can assume that the weapon that was used at this point was his. If we go ahead with that, upon entering, Hardy Abe suddenly clubbed David Goren. All of this is, all of this is making sense logically, at least in my head. Meanwhile, Edmund Clousley increased the amount of air in a sealed... Okay, I might need to find out. When Hardy Abe and Jack Nails entered the room, the blank exploded. So I'm still missing a word. There's something I'm missing. Is there something I miss in the book? Huh. I'm missing something. Coach, scoundrel robbed the passengers, kissed a young lady. Ba, 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 ba. Hmm. So I have everything I need, but I'm just missing one piece of information. There it is. Got it. To gain entrance to Edmund Closley's secret forest cabin, gentleman robber Walter Keene pretended to deliver a corpse to Edmund for his experiments. Upon entering the cabin, the robbers ambushed the servants, and Edmund locked himself in his study. While the robbers were sawing through the lock, Edmund prepared a trap with the idol that killed 2 of the intruders. Alright, and we got another scene. Then Sir Coroner, the bandits, and the rest of them off. But my master Lord Edmund Closley got caught in a blast which severely disfigured him, and soon afterwards he died, blessed his soul. Chapter 3, The Ascent, Strange Practices of a Secret Society. Okay, 2 sets of footprints, and then someone being dragged. A clue has been added to the thinking panel. David, the gathering will be on March 14th. To follow our plan, we should be there at least 2 hours before midnight. The target will arrive in full costume. Grab rope and weapons. To David Garan, a reliable service from EC. David Garan is here. Tattoo has a hand and an eye. Okay, so there's... Whew. Okay. So from the looks of it, they kept... David Garan and Walter Keene grabbed somebody and swapped out the costume to pretend to be one? Right? Then they come over here into this... what the fuck? Dark Hand, Proud Beast, Water Snakes. Brothers wear robes to appropriate to their ranks. Master, Steward, Initiate. January 5th, 1789. Masters, I had ventured on the Order's mission to reclaim our fire-breathing relic, and with great resolve punish the despicable enemy. I, with a few brave companions, fiercely entered his hideout in a remote hunting cabin. But the devil had prepared a treacherous trap, and an explosion slaughtered my dearest friends as we entered his study. Thanks to my sturdy physique, I survived the blast only to be assaulted by the enemy's lackey, assassin warrior David Garin, and a pack of... After an hour of fight, I received numerous deadly wounds, in spite of which I prevailed and defeated my assailants with my martial training. Discovered the enemy's dead body, slain by the trap of his own making, but no trace of the relic. I was forced to go into hiding because the government's watchmen are tracking me. Once I have recovered from my deadly wounds and shaken off the watchmen, I will send for the next report. May the Griffin awaken. Walter Keene. This is gonna be weird. Masters, I must apologize 1,000 times for my absence, but my road to recovery was full of peril and valor that cannot be successfully conveyed in writing. The government's dogs and spies chase me tirelessly, and I'm forced to seek refuge in Aquitania to recover my still dire wounds. There I finally bested my pursuers with the help of Lazarus Hurst, a young resourceful gentleman who I met in a remote manor one dark winter's night. Not only did he earn my trust by stepping into the fray against the villains, but he turned out to be well versed in the arcane arts. Of course, not so close to our skills. I have finally reached and plan to return to Albion. I suggested that Lazarus will be a fine addition to the Order. I vouch for him and will invite him to undergo the appropriate trial. January 16, 1790, Illuminated Masters. I object to the eminence of the individual Lazarus Hurst to our brethren. I submit that our dark-hand brother Walter Keene, who vouches for him, cannot be trusted for it because he is a liar and a thief. I am certain that, dispatching the enemy, he kept the golden fire-breathing relic for himself. Nothing will move me on this. He must produce the relic, apologize to me personally, and forever be expelled from our brotherhood. Jeffrey Sinclair. Okay. This is weird. Oh god, this is weird. What is going on? Prepare to receive what you have earned. February 10th, 1790. Brother, a member of our order has proposed a candidate to join our brotherhood. Our brotherhood's trustworthiness, however, has been challenged. Therefore, we decide to take measures to resolve the fate of these individuals. If the brother proves himself, he can vouch for the newcomer. If the newcomer survives the appropriate trial, he will join our ranks. You are summoned to join our gathering March 14th and fulfill your roles in the rights of the brotherhood. Council of Masters. Also got 2 rings. Oh, these rings. Huh. We saw these rings really early on in the game. I have signaled to Griffin who I am. I accept my fate, whatever it may be. Inception must endure the test of administered by a proud peace steward. Okay, transition must endure the tests administered by a water stick master. I have no idea what any of these are. I mean, obviously this one probably is the snail. So it can only be inception and admission, right? I don't know how these are supposed to represent those. The only one that makes sense is the snail one over there. Alright, so this is all weird. What the hell? Okay, get out of here. What's up here? Oh my god. This clue has been added to the thinking panel. Oh, this is a lot of stuff. Okay. The Griffin has spoken. The Griffin has spoken. 2 cups on a stone altar. They contain some wine and are almost empty. Griffin has spoken. Let us await the results from the chamber below. Griffin has spoken. Fender. Both drinkers must be barefoot. The substances added depended on the severity of the accusation, including deadly poison. Add substance to one of the cups, taking wine glass. So this ritual had been done here, right? Rituals of squabble. Only initiates can be a defender and accuser. The sword must be born of any dark hand. Required decorations: the Grim Reaper, the never-tiring teacher, and the feeder of mouths. Ritual of conflict. The accuser must deeply hate the defender. The sword must be borne by the initiate. Never-tiring teacher, the keeper of treasures, the mirror of the soul. Okay. Ritual of the keeper of treasures, the never-ending teacher, and the Grim Reaper. Of the ritual of discord, the houses of the accusers and defenders stand behind their brothers. Okay, so we have to figure out. We have decorations on a couple of things. We have it on a book, the thing over here, and the key that's here, right? So if we can kind of figure out the feeder of mouths, I don't think we can do the book. Like the book is kind of could be the never-ending teacher, and then the Grim Reaper. Keeper of Treasures, the Never-Ending Teacher, but we don't have a Mirror of the Soul, so I don't think it's either one of those. I think the only one that makes sense would be this one. The scepter must be borne by the Water Snake Master. I think we can safely assume, if that is true, we can do a couple things here. Steward is going to be the second rank. Okay, got it. So, I think we can kind of assume that these robes are for Master, these robes are for Initiate, and these robes are for Steward. Now, we can do Water Snake, because it had to be a Water Snake Master, right? To hold the... Had to be a Water Snake Master to hold the staff for this ritual. Okay. Arcane Initiate? Everything's filled in correctly. Yeah, okay. So he was supposed to come in. He was actually part of the group. At some point, his uniform was taken for one of these guys. I just don't know who yet. I'm pretty sure this is the Ritual of Admission, which would mean if we accept that, Dark Hands and Proud Beast. Ba-ba-bum. We can kind of just eliminate, like, kind of guess it, right? Like, I'd almost want to say this is the Proud Beast ones. Actually, Oh, can be done by any master. You're not a master, though. No, it's not admission. Okay, because it can't be admission because it has to be a master, right? And if we go ahead with this, that this is actually we don't even go any further than that. We can just go over here. He's head and just confirm that, which would leave this one Dark Hand. Nice. This is going to be Inception. There's Hurst, right? And Steward, a beast. Hey, nice. Okay, we're working this out a little bit at a time. Okay, that's the case. I don't understand what any of these are supposed to represent. Oh, okay, I can see the snail one here. Okay, that makes sense. And then, like, the guy represents a tree, having all of his leaves, and in winter having nothing on him. Okay, I can see that. I don't see the connection here. And maybe water for the fish. Okay. So, we are determining that this is the Ritual of Dispute. Say he's a Water Snake Master. Proud Beast. Master. 2 or fewer of the slots are incorrect. Okay. I think we can safely assume one of these is Jeffrey Sinclair, and the other one would be Walter Keene, right? Okay. Walter Keene was... Challenge, that's the word I needed. Walter Keene was challenged to a dispute ritual along with David Garun, ambushed the Darkhand Initiate. I think David Garun, posing as the Darkhand Initiate, okay, because you have to assume one of these guys is the challenger. This was the one that got brought in to do the admission, so it has to be him who is the one they stole the costume of. And the only one that would make sense for him in that position would be David Ron. Hey! What am I missing? The only part that sucks is when you're missing like just one word that could probably help. And we can actually assume that like the ritual. Okay, I think we can figure out some couple things here. This guy, he is Jeffrey Sinclair, right? That's the Inception, and I believe he would have been a Proud Beast Initiate, right? Okay. Walter Keene with a he would point to one which had no poison, right? It's a cup. And we can kind of say that he probably had the tankard. Okay, and then we say Jeffrey Sinclair, drink, the other cup. Okay. Yeah, I'm missing a word. Okay, well... Okay, this is actually gonna get really annoying. This is all correct. Combo poison scepter rule. Okay, no, I need a blue word. I need a like a verb. Fire and a thief. Okay, what the hell? Make sure scan over everything just to make sure there is no... Look at that name there, huh? Is it? Oh, come on. I'm so close. What am I missing? Oh. You bastard. After being challenged to a ritual with potentially deadly consequences, Walter conspired with David to devise a plan which ensured his own safety. They captured a Brotherhood member on his way to the gathering. David chose a safe cup, and his opponent drank the poison and died. Oh my god, it just keeps going. Alright, I'm going to check in on this one, but I'm probably going to end it here. I've already been going on for an hour. This is mostly just going to test to see if maybe streaming to YouTube would be more stable. I think maybe for the weekend I'll try doing a stream to Twitch as well. And see if it's just a restream thing. I don't know. We'll find out. Let's see. The crowning celebration by the lighthouse. Oh no. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. There's Walter Keene. Kneel before Griffin Reborn and make ready. I will lead my brothers to great many changes. That was an actual miracle. Unbelievable. This is a Griffin Reborn. And thus the Griffin Reborn revealed himself to his brothers and demonstrating a true miracle. A will reading, you... Huh. Alright, well, we'll continue exploring this one more next time. I'm going to send that there. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. And